Hello, welcome back, everybody, to another year of the Sunday Podcast.
I'm Ollie Lum.
And I'm Matt Seddon.
Back in 2025 for our 5th season. You can expect more of this.
He's claiming that he was ill before the semi-final, whatever. But, you know, I just feel like at that point he was just looking for attention.
And some of this.
And you normally say, no human is limited. So I can't limit myself, or I can't just say I can do.
As well as event coverage around all the major races on the UK circuit.
And if you're a fan of the pod, please give us a rating and review on your preferred podcast streaming service.
And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news, give us a follow on Instagram at Sunday Podcast.
As always, thanks for listening. See you next time. And we hope you enjoyed the episode.
Okay, hello, welcome back to another episode brought to you by sportshoes.com. As always, Matt and I recording on a rare Sunday morning. So happy Sunday, guys. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday plod. Matt, you getting out just after we finish recording?
Yeah, mate, I'll get out for a little jog. I might go on the bike. The less I run, the more my Achilles hurt. So I've been having a bit of bad Achilles recently. I'll see how I feel, mate. It's getting quite hot already. It is very much in the balance if I get out today.
Good man, mate. I found the opposite. I think the less I run, the best my Achilles has ever felt. So, don't know what the science is behind that. But anyway, we went to Birmingham last night to watch the 10K trials for the World Champs in Tokyo later this summer. And mate, some great results at the top of the field. And we obviously want to wrap up that event as well as events from around the globe over the past few days and preview some events coming up next weekend as well. So we thought, why not doing it in a Sunday main episode, because there is lots to talk about. Obviously, Emile Cairess getting the win last night, as well as Megan Keith on the British champ side anyway, over that 10K.
Yeah, two, I guess, favourites going in. I think it was a little bit uncertainty. I was with Megan, but once Calli raced on Thursday night and doubled back, it was kind of like, well, surely Megan's, going to be able to get the better of her, which she did, not by a huge margin. But, yeah, in both races. I mean, do you want to talk about the races? Do you want to talk about the meet? I think it was great of basically what sounded like Birmingham University stepping in big time to help out BA and put that meet on. Huge credit to Birmingham Uni. They always do, and they know how to put a great meet on. So I think they did a great job on the night. But obviously some of the fields, it's just hard to, we were hoping for a lot more athletes in these fields. There was quite a few last minute dropouts. And I think this is the problem you're going to have unless you've got a Highgate where people are actually excited to go and run. And there's a massive appeal to go and run 10,000 meters. Face it, running Highgate is a little bit like a bucket list thing to do if you're a runner. It's a little bit like running the London Marathon. You're going somewhere where the atmosphere is going to be incredible. And that's why they founded Highgate in the first place. And that is why people do it. But I think yesterday was a clear example of that. If you haven't got Highgate, there is not much drive to run a 10,000 on the track. And to be honest, no one was near the standard. The only person who had the standard at that meet, the actual A standard, is obviously Megan Keith, and that's from last year. And so, it was in her intention to go there, and she almost probably had to secure her spot. Calli's in the consideration standard. So, and obviously she's gone there and got a second, but outside of those people, it's why you just see the depth really fall away.
Yeah, for sure, mate. And I think it's an interesting meet, isn't it? Because I think you'll get a few people almost comparing it to Highgate, but I think there's absolutely no point in this. Birmingham weren't trying to do that. We just needed to have a trial race for the world champs, and they did that. They put this together, and for what it was a really cool meet. It was great to see, I guess, at the top end, like particularly the women's race, like the depth in that race was pretty good. But like you say, Matt, I think just the way 10,000 meter running is on the world stage, with the standards being so hard, even the B standards, it's so hard to get an actual race out of it. We were speaking this morning before we started recording, just on how with wave lights and things like that, and I get having them completely, because otherwise, like you got to give people a chance, right? But we don't see any moves made in these races. We don't see a real joust, and its athletes kind of fading away from the pace rather than anyone really trying to kick on and make something of it. Probably the Italian athlete Palmero, actually, in that women's race, obviously took the win overall, was the one who really made the move, and obviously Keith and Calli coming behind her, but obviously taking first and second in the British race. Izzy Fry on a 10K debut, a nice bronze medal there as well, and I'm sure plenty more to come from someone like her as she kind of gets used to 10,000 meters on the track.
Yeah, 100%. So I think you did have a few people like her who were like, right, this is maybe the start of a transition. This is a great year to run it. And then obviously, from there you can go on next year and compete for a spot. I think as well, a European year, when we have the Europeans, there is a lot more interest in running a 10,000 on the track. And I think, the qualification mark for one is a lot more doable for a lot of our athletes. So you get, especially like last year, you get a lot of people who want to go and run, hit that Euro standard, and obviously get selected. So they want to come in the top 3 Brits, etc. So, and I think we can see it. And that's why for so many years pre-Highgate, the 10K suffered, because I think, bar at that time we had Mo Farah, no one was anywhere near sort of getting to a major championships over 10,000. Chris Thompson as well, people like that. We did have Andy Vernon, but those guys were always such a cut above that they never really needed to go and run the 10,000 meter championships. Yeah. And so, but it was still a strong race, still in full force. So I think, like you said, this is what wave lights, I guess, do to a race, right? It's just survival of the fittest. There are no tactics involved. It's just, these are the wave lights. And if, the minute you drop off them, your race is over. With the 10,000, you need it. I'm just very concerned at some point we're going to have wave lights in championships just because they want to see records come major championships. And that would be a real shame, because then you just lose, everything else sport stands for, really.
You say that, but I feel like, and look, I don't want to see them in championships myself, but I think the athletes would be more inclined to ignore them in a like world or Olympic champs than they are at a British champs 10K. I think the issue is here. Right?
I'm not knocking the lights last night. I think you need them. There's very few opportunities to run a 10,000 qualifying mile. You definitely need the lights last night. They're at Highgate. I get why we have them in these in like a British championships over 10,000. I get that, but I am worried that we could see a scenario where they're like, oh well, British champs on the track, let's get wave lights, or even world champs Olympics, because one of the arguments for wave lights is it gives the crowd a reference point to how fast they're running, which is just like where the world record is in relation to the athletes, which I just think is a crazy argument. But anyway, I think the headlines, to be honest, were more on who wasn't there, who didn't fancy it, and obviously Paddy Diva didn't turn up, didn't race, and that's probably partly because he's 27.08. He's actually got the consideration standard, but he is outside, by the way, the ranking points, and I think he'll remain outside those points now, because I can't imagine he's going to get another 10 in. So is that Paddy Diva just going, do you know what? Yeah, I'm not interested in doing the 10 at the World Champs. Again, are we going to see him compete over the 5 again? I don't know. Maybe it's just not interesting.
It's interesting, because I'm pretty sure and I don't know the stats on this, but I'm pretty sure when we looked previously, winning your trials actually gives you half decent points, doesn't it?
Does. Well,
so if he'd won last night.
Yeah. I mean, for example, when he won Highgate last year as a British champion, he ran 27.23 and got 1,248 points. And at the moment, his average is 12.30. If he was on 1,248 points, he would be in a ranking quota, and you would like to think he would have gave Emile a run for his money yesterday. So basically, had Paddy a run and come probably in the top 2, definitely if he had won, he'd be in the quota to go to World Champs at Tokyo. But then actually, I guess he would be in the quota now, but when you do the maths, I'm not sure when last year's British Champs would drop out, maybe, because obviously races, there's a window, and I'm not quite sure in the 10 when that sort of window refreshes, because that is what happens. People's obviously races drop out of their scores, their average scores.
He might well have like some sort of road race or something lined up that he could possibly do that would bump his ranking points. I don't know. He will know better than us. Him and his coach will know better than us on like why that decision is, I'm sure. So I guess just before you do move on to that men's race, we did catch up with the winner, Megan Keith, yesterday. And here's what she had to say.
British race winner Megan got second today. Firstly, I know you raced just a week or so ago over the 5,000 in the Diamond League, but was it good to be back running over 25 laps?
Yes and no. I think 25 laps is always going to be a bit of a mental battle, but I didn't really feel like myself last week, so I was happy to feel smooth tonight through kind of halfway, and then feel like I could make a bit of a bold, maybe stupid move that feels like the old me a bit more. So now I'm just happy to be back at it, kind of trying to throw down some fast laps.
Did you come into this with any expectations, any tactic in mind?
Okay, so expectations really, because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel, particularly kind of 12 laps deep or whatever, because I've not been into any 10k training sessions, but I knew I wanted to come and be top 2 if I could, to tick that box for the British athletes, I guess, and anything else is a bonus. So that was kind of my move, was hoping I could just break it up, and then maybe should have worked a bit harder to actually try and think about winning the race outright, but I was happy to tick that box, so I can't really ask for more.
Absolutely, auto selection banked. And how's life been since Paris? Because obviously, do you want to talk about Paris, or is that in the past?
I'm trying to put it in the past. Life's been kind of good. I had a bit of a tough time coming off the back of it. I didn't start running again until, I guess, January. So I kind of got to be a normal kind of uni student, I guess, throughout the winter, which was really fun. And it's not, I feel like I've been trying to balance the last 3 years running and studying and being at university here. So it was fun just getting to live probably a bit more balanced, and then locking back in as much as is healthy, I guess, after Christmas, and trying to get back in that mindset again. So yeah, it's been a bit of a ride, but I'm happy to be back on the track again.
Good for you. Did you need that break?
Definitely. It was I guess like silver lining, but in hindsight it was nice just to be able to do some different things and then come back feeling a bit refreshed. But I feel like it's not quite a race against time, but I'm still trying to build that momentum back again. So it's going to be a summer of hopefully improving as I go, but I'm just happy to be back really fast.
Will you graduate in the next couple of weeks? Is that it done?
Yeah, it's done somehow. I think I'm graduating starting next month, so it's been 4 years of riding that line between doing just enough to pass uni each year. So pretty happy about that one as well.
What's next for you then?
In life or in running?
Go on, actually in life first. That's what we probably care about most.
Yeah, in life it's kind of a question mark. I feel like I've complained about being a student for 4 years, and now I'm considering going back and doing more. So I've got a few deadlines coming up. I'm like having to make big life decisions. So maybe ask me again in like a month, and I can give you some good answers. But in terms of track, it's probably a bit of an easier answer. I'm gearing up to hopefully give a better showing myself of a 5k in a few weeks' time. So that's a big plan.
You plan to still be based in Scotland and not moving anywhere else?
No, Scotland's the place for me, so I'll be there.
Brilliant. And then just finally, who's a regular training partner of yours? Like, who is in the Megan Keith camp?
Oh, there's so many people in the Megan Keith camp. So I study in Edinburgh, so I train with a group of mainly uni boys. A few of them racing here tonight as well. My coach and my home training group are up in Inverness, so whenever I go for a Highlands training camp, I have a group of fun people to run with up there. So I've got a lot of training partners who are happy for me to clip their heels.
Brilliant. Well, look, Megan, it's been a pleasure, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, obviously great to hear from Megan Keith yesterday. Look, Matt, we're trying to get on the podcast as well, aren't we, mate? She's someone that we'd love to get on. So Megan,
she's
if
keen.
You are listening.
We've got a picture to her. She's keen, but she just doesn't want to talk about running too much, which is fair enough. So, yeah, we've got a picture, a few different topics, and see if she takes a bait, and then we get her on the podcast.
Yeah,
so anyone with any good ideas knows Megan Keith well?
Yeah, anyone who knows Megan Keith and knows what she'd like to talk about, send us a message, and then we can pitch those ideas. But look, someone who has been on the podcast many times as well, Calli, and I guess that was something we haven't really touched upon yet as well is Calli kind of doubling back from Wednesday night. And what was really cool was we got to catch up with her and her coach and husband Nick just to discuss the decision behind that, right? The decision behind running on Saturday, Wednesday and Saturday, I think it was in the end, like 5, 10, 10, to really kind of really go out there and run 25k in 7 days or 8 days. I think he said it was.
Yep.
And look, to run 31:24 at the end of that has only got to mean special things for the marathon, I think.
Right, so we have got both Calli and Nick. Firstly, whose crazy idea was it to do 2 10Ks in 3 days, is it?
Who do we blame? No, you cannot blame me for this. Mind you, 7 days to the day, this is 25K of racing on the track for Calli. So no, that was not our idea. We wanted a rust buster last week in Paris, and ideally, I think, the world standard in over 10K, or at least a crack at it in Oslo. And then it's like, okay, that went well. It was a very positive experience. So now you have to be top 2 for a British selection. So job done. Tired legs. Now time to recover a little bit. But I'll hand it to you.
Do you want to say any comments on that, Calli?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it unfolded.
Yeah.
So we can take that as you want to run the 10K in Tokyo.
Not as well. I think I won't get greedy. I won't do a Safan, but that would be a big ask. But yeah, I think a champ style marathon is like really tough. It takes a lot out of you. I think it excites me, but it's also really, really tough. So I think I just want to have the choice, the option to do the track. I think it's going to be hot in Tokyo. So the marathon in Tokyo it makes me a little bit nervous. I would obviously train for the heat and train for that. But after Paris, I think I want a bit of a break from the champ style marathon, and I would love to like give the track a go again. I still feel like it's been rust-busters the last few weeks, so I'm looking forward to how the next few weeks unfold once I've got some more track training under my belt, and we'll see, and I'll make a decision in a month or so. Yeah, I think I want to do the track, but we'll
Don't
see.
stress about it.
Yeah.
I think the other piece to all of this is like it all of a sudden came upon us. Like you finished Boston not that long ago, and all of a sudden you have to be in shape and you have to start doing these things again. And so it's like we haven't been able to play a patient game with Calli's training at the moment, and that's a tough ask. So then all of a sudden it's like viewing these races as really boosts to fitness, and then now it's like you can come back and build this thing slowly again. I mean, come September, good grief, like that's some serious fitness. So yeah, that's what's exciting.
What's the plan over the next few months then? Like obviously, 25K on the track in 7 days.
Yeah.
Are you going to have a break now, or are we going to see you again?
I'm doing the team champs, the 5K in 2 weeks. European team champs for the 5,000. So that'll be fun.
So just tempos between now and then.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, nothing crazy now.
Is that how you tend to operate? Just kind of let the races be that really hard stimulus, and you don't tap into that stimulus in training too much?
Well, it kind of depends on the day. I would say when you see a big schedule, if we look back from like January to April for Calli, it was really busy, right? A lot of strength work up at altitude, then you get to sharpen up, you get to blast out a 10K on the track, you get to run a 15K, when do you ever run that? You just get to go race, and that really prepped her well for Boston. Those were key sessions. It keeps her from having to crank out 120 miles a week. We can taper down into a race and get a huge blast out that we can't get in training. You can't get that quality alone in Flagstaff unless, we're doing something crazy. So, and it takes a bit less out of Calli specifically because it's not up at altitude. It's more specific racing. It fires her up. So as far as I'm concerned, it's mentally stimulating, it's physically stimulating. So we stick them on the calendar, and she's better for it.
And the way you operate is very unique. Clearly. How do you keep the belief? Like, how do you trust that actually this is the right thing for me?
Yeah, I don't think you just got to throw yourself in it, haven't you? You just got to trust the process, and like the races fire me up the most, and I get so much from them, each one, whether it's A day, B day, I get so much from it, and I have no chill in training. It's been too nice. So when I race, it makes me like taper and take it, and that's I think. But yeah, I
can't hold her back. I can't say run a little bit easy, so you might as well race.
You've had a few big life updates, haven't you? Have you got a place in Flagstaff now? So permanent residence?
I know. It's going to be a tough process.
If you had asked us this question last year, it's like, we're not going back. Like, we're done with Flagstaff. We're going to Albuquerque, somewhere a little bit more relaxed.
Really?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Calli starts training with Sarah Hall and some other women, and it's like, okay, teammates are important, and it's great. So,
valuable. Yeah.
And I mean, look, it's such a hub at this point. There's, they have Swoosh Track Club just opened up. They've got a place in Oregon, Utah, and Flag as well. So that helps a lot of things as well. There's a Nike gym, there's coaches available and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of things clicking and saying, cool, yeah, like let's stick around in Flagstaff and split our time when we need to be here or there and that sort of thing. So it works out well. It's great.
Yeah. Sarah's been amazing the last 6 months. She got me through like the whole Boston block, so I'm super grateful for her. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Does Ryan have some input then?
Yeah, he does.
Ryan asked Nick how it goes.
There was a couple.
That must be cool.
Yeah, last autumn time when we're back in Flag, we get down to Camp Verde for a workout, and Ryan's like, all right, hey, Nick, what's up, man? What do we got for the workout today? And I'm like, you're asking me? If you would have said, 14 years old, one day Ryan Hall is going to ask you what his wife and your wife are going to do for a workout and what the rest is in between the intervals, I would be like, no way, you're crazy. But here we are. So occasionally we're dictating the workouts. It's just kind of fun.
So there's a super group forming with Nick and Ryan. That's a great place to end, guys. Best of luck with the rest of the season.
Yeah, and there you have it. Obviously, Calli and Nick's take on the past week or so. We did clarify that she wasn't going to go and do a post-race session after that, and she confirmed she wasn't. So just a bit of rest and recovery for her after that one. But look, super excited to see how she goes later this year and kind of what she ends up actually doing come Tokyo. Look, mate, over to the men's race and Emile Cairess, watching him, and I think you put it on the stories last night as well. Emile Cairess and his Casio, clicking off those laps. I probably spent about K of the race on his own.
Easily.
Obviously chasing those wave lights, but checking his split times himself and really just locking in. We literally, I want to say about half an hour before the race, kind of bumped into Emile and he just said, look, I'm in good shape. And I thought, when Emile says he's in good shape, he must be in some really good shape. And I think we were chatting on the way home yesterday, weren't we, about 27-27, solo for a lot of the race in less than ideal conditions where...
It's warm.
Yeah, it's quite warm. There was a little bit of a breeze. You've got no one around you. And also, nothing really to play for. Like, I know a PB for anyone is good, but for someone like Emile, it's not like he needed to qualify for the World Champs. He's already going in Tokyo. This was basically his last big lung buster. Before then, would you believe it or not, he doesn't plan on racing again. A pretty special performance, I think.
Yeah, I think, it was only when I was driving home and I think, we spoke, didn't we? And we were like, actually, that was very bloody good. I think when you're watching it, you're just like, there's Emile just doing his thing. But just lap after lap after lap for that whole last 5K pretty much. Yeah, he knows he's going for the marathon. He's not, he wasn't there hunting. He wanted to run fast. But he would have easily broke 27:20 had he just had some company and some people to help him out. And then something to kick for as well. I think his last lap was 62, but his penultimate lap was 66 or 67. There are a couple laps just in that last mile where I think he was running some 67s. I was lapping him at. So, that's where you really need someone. It's difficult, intense. But if you have people just keeping it honest at that stage, then you still find yourself able to close because you can always find something a little bit more on that last lap. And then, there's a sub 27:20, but he won't be phased. I mean, he wasn't bothered about it. That was a good, strong run for him. And interestingly, he wants to get ready for Tokyo. I think it's funny. We spoke to Calli and we spoke to Emile, and two slightly different opinions on doing the Tokyo World Champs Marathon. Calli is, I think if she gets picked for the 10, she'll be tempted to run the 10. She sounds like she's still very much on the fence at the moment. And one of her doubts about a hot championship marathon is just how much it takes out of you. Also, you have to put in so much extra work in preparation. You have to do all that heat training, and it is quite relentless, and you have to prepare really meticulously. Not that you don't for a normal marathon, but I guess the weather is just much less of a factor if you do a Berlin, if you do a Chicago or anything like that, Valencia. So you can just get down and train and seek those perfect conditions all the time. So I think she was hesitant to really want to commit to it and probably weigh out the pros and cons. Plus that recovery time off a championship marathon, is it longer, especially in the heat? But Emile is like, he wants to get involved. And I think I like that because, do you know what? A Calli and Emile, I might eat my words in a few years, but when you look at where the world record is, 2 minutes, 2 hours 35 on the men's side, 2:09 on the women's side, they're going to run much faster. Don't get me wrong, but so many people are running 2:3, 2:4 in this game. On the women's side, I mean, people are running 2:15, 2:16, 2:70 for fun, And so you're going to be remembered for the medals that you pick up at a world championship or the medals you get in Olympic Games. I think Emile's already thinking, he wants to take gold in LA. And I think if you get a series of championship marathons under your belt, surely that puts you in a better position to do that than a load of perfect Valencias.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we spoke to the man himself tonight.
Right, we are here with the man at the moment. It's your first British title, believe it or not, on the track, Emile. How's it feel?
Yeah, no, it feels really nice. I knew I was in really good shape, to be fair, coming here, but I didn't know how the race would play out, so it felt strong, and I feel like that's a good time for me on the day.
Good shape. Obviously, we saw you in the on the road, 10K, 27:49 was it there? Yeah. So what did you do in training since, which was sort of indicating towards good shape? Were you hoping for a bit more today? Obviously, PB, so...
Yeah, I did some really good sessions last couple of weeks, to be fair. And that Laredo race, it was so windy, like. So I feel like, I mean, it's just me and this one guy, so I feel like that time really didn't show the shape I was in. And then I've kicked on since then, and yeah, I felt like, the last couple of weeks, I've been in good shape, but yeah.
Were you hoping for a little bit more from Ephraim today? Were you hoping for a bit more of a battle?
Yeah, I was hoping we could share some of the work. We just stay on the lights till like maybe 9k and then put a big last K or something, but yeah, it's 5k solo, so yeah, tough.
And what's next for you now, Emile? Obviously, selected for the World Championships. Where will we see you again?
I don't think you'll see me again. That's it, till Tokyo. I don't think there's not much going on, to be fair. There's no road races, so I'll go training camp in July and then just be there till World Champs.
No more track work. Nothing excites you.
It would be nice to do some track, but it's time to train for the marathon now. It's time to change it up. So it'd be nice to run a 5k PB, but there ain't time.
When did you get back moving post the injury?
I was injured for a good while, but been training maybe 14 weeks, something like that now. Maybe 16 weeks to be fair, but the first 4 were just minimal, and then I've done 12 like really good weeks, like full mileage and everything. Yeah, I don't know when that will be, but that's the time scale.
Fair enough. And that that's fully cleared up now?
Yeah, to be fair, I had about a month off with it, and then I tried to come back, and then it was still bad. And then I ran for a week, and then I had another 4 week off or something. And then after then it was just fine. Because the second time I took my time with it and did it properly with everything, rehab and all that. So.
And obviously you're going for the marathon, so what were the intentions of coming here? Like, what did it mean to compete in front of a British crowd?
I think it was important for me to get back racing. I've only done the 6 stage since the Olympics, so that's not really a race, like. So it was important for me to get back competing and be in that kind of mind frame for going to the World Champs, like. Even if you're in good shape, you have to be race ready as well, so that was kind of the purpose of these, like. And
I think I know the answer to this, but goals for the World Champs?
Yeah, obviously I want to do well, like, and yeah, I have big goals, but yeah, you don't know who's going to turn up or what kind of shape, how you're going to feel on the day, but obviously I'm there to do something good.
And why was the World Champs more important as opposed to maybe going to Berlin, maybe going to Chicago, maybe running in Valencia?
I just think the World Champs is, I might get battered now, but it's not usually as tough as Olympics, like the standard, and it's just good for me to learn more championship racing, and then I think, maybe then there's time in 2026 to look for a fast time, I think, and run something like that I'm capable of, because I feel like there's a lot of time on the table for me. So.
Yeah, you want to perfect that championship style marathon running, ready for LA?
Yeah, I think it's important. Like, it's no good just have a nice PB, but then not really do anything with it. So, yeah, obviously I wanted to go to London, and that was a big goal for me this year, but obviously couldn't do that. So that would have been a chance for me to run PB, but I had to miss that. And so World Champs is the next thing, and yeah.
Brilliant, mate. Good luck. Pleasure as always.
Cheers, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess that's Emile, and obviously casual as you like. Didn't want to give, I guess, too much away, but it does mention, of course, he's got big goals, big aspirations. I think everyone knows that, and I think he's just one of those athletes, similar to Calli as well, that everyone's just willing to do well over those marathon distances. But yeah, I guess, mate, the rest of the race, Ephraim Giddy of Ireland, second overall, obviously not in that British race, but I think we expected him to give Emile, a bit more of a challenge, didn't we, mate?
Yeah, we did, but again, he's had a busy year, and I think this is just a difficult thing when you're racing at a real high end in these endurance races. Is you look at Gidey, he's already run 20. He ran very similar to Emile, right, in California, maybe 27, 26, 27, 25, something like that. National record there. He ran that European Road Half Champs. That was a really good run, considering the course, considering the conditions, everything. We've seen him on the 10K on the road earlier on in the year. So he's had a busy, I guess, first half of the year, and then of course the European Cup, right, which he won there in really good fashion. I think that's what makes you think, hold on, with a result like that, what's this man got in the locker? I think, would he win that in 27:40 or something? So, obviously very similar settings to last night, but yeah, you would think that he would have pushed Emile, but I think he was just tired. I think it's probably just a race too far for him. And yeah, we probably saw he probably had a lot more to give at that European 10K Cup, has just kind of got the win in dominant fashion there. But yeah, just an off day for him. One can only presume.
Yeah, for sure. Ellis Cross then is his teammate, his Hoka teammate, obviously picking up silver, third overall, but silver in the British Champs, and a great run for him, to be honest. I think this is where this meet, I'm kind of like, there's a few athletes missing, and I don't want to focus on them, really. I say that as I'm about to, but I'm just like, why as a 5K, 10K guy, are you not just competing at your British Champs? And going out there and trying to get silver, bronze, gold, challenger meal.
Well, I think it's clear, right? I think a lot of people who you're potentially alluding to, like some of our top domestic 5K, 10K runners, it's a British Championships. Why is there not more interested to do it? And I think it just comes down to the belief factor. I think there's a lot of athletes who weigh up the pros and cons and they go, do they truly believe they can get on the podium or finish top 5 or wherever?
I don't think they're fussed about getting on the podium. I think that's what the issue is for me. I don't think they see the value in getting on the podium. I don't think they see the value in getting a bronze at the British Champs. Obviously, the guys who've turned up have Logan Reese picks up bronze, Ellis Cross picks up silver, Emile is his first ever gold on the track at British Champs, and this is nothing against those guys. But I'm like, why are you not coming and like if you're a distance runner, like a classic 5K, 10K, like you do some road races, you might dip in a half here and there. The 2 races on the calendar each year should be 5K on the track at the British Champs and a 10K on the track at the British Champs, because you can double over those so easily. It's not like the US where you've got to do them within a week and there's no heats. Like, it's so easy to do both of them. You lock them in. I just think in the same way that all our 800, 1500 steeplers will do that. They'll lock in British Champs is this date, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to build my season around that. Obviously, you want to go run quick here and there, and I know you can't do as many 5K, 10K.
Mate, I mean, I think the longer the race, the less, the more people care about times. It's that simple. Yeah. And in the whole sport, the longer the race, the more people care about the times. And I think you do get to a championship like that 10K last night. And I think, a lot of people we've got some great 5K runners, so many. I mean, how many people have broken 13:40 or so this year? 13:30, let's see. 13:30, not actually that many, just the 5 of them. But you think, 13:45 and below, we've got 25, 26, 27 people. Could we had a world where we see all of those people in the race? Well, a lot of them are 15 5K runners, so definitely not in a 10. So we could have seen a few more for sure. But again, it just comes down to like, what do they get out of it? And this is why Highgate is so special, because you do get something out of it. It's a bucket list event. You get that experience out of an event like Highgate. It's just a huge thing, a huge race to be a part of. Whereas last night, we were chatting to a lot of people on the sidelines. I don't think anyone was watching that going, I envy these guys. I envy these girls. In fact, quite the opposite. They're going, bloody hell, that looks rough. These poor people are solo after 4 laps, And credit to everyone out there. Smashing around and running well. But yeah, you're right.
If we're doing it, it would be less bitty as well. I think that's the thing. We have got.
Oh yeah, like the races could have been really deep, but anyway, I guess done and dusted now. British 10K, Birmingham University did a fantastic job at pulling that one together. Credit to them, pulled it out once again, and it will be back. Speaking to a few people, it'll definitely be back at Highgate next year. So we look forward to that in 2026, which will be a very big year with the Europeans in England that year as well, and obviously commies too. So and that commies window. Is it open yet? I don't know. But yeah, some of those commies marks already for a few countries coming out already. So I think Scotland have got theirs out and stuff. So big year next year when it comes to the 10,000, I'm sure. But mate, should we? So yeah, I'm sure many people watched it. If you didn't, it was dominant display from Emile, Megan Keith, Calli Hauger-Thackery. Whittled the field down, and pretty in terms of you take out the Italian in terms of Megan Keith, also pretty dominant at the end. So and I think for Megan it was good to see her back, because I think she's got enough time now to get in really good shape for Tokyo and put out a really good performance. And the thing is, when you're someone like Megan with these qualification windows, actually it won't work because the Worlds will be in 2027 now, but when you have like a back-to-back Worlds and Olympics, like for example 2027, 2028, it is so important to go to the championships, because 9 times out of 10 in this current climate, the race is fast enough. Like in the men's 10, if you were in that Olympic final last year, you've probably run the standard. So you go there and you get the standard boxed off in the actual championship race for the following year. And so if she can, I guess try and do that. But wait, let's move on because there were some other races last night. We had also go down the Vienna 5000s. And I think that was, we're talking about we wanted to see potentially more people in there. Obviously, tough when you've got those 5000s the same night over in Vienna. But the big talking point is not the 5000s in Vienna. It is the 800-meter races because I load up the results. Alex Botterill, Tina Crook on 144.3, 144.4, both of them inside that world Q time of 144.5. I'm going, Jesus, that's nuts. I think we would have had 4 men inside the standard then. Plus, we've still got people like Patterson and everyone like that to come in, and a load more right on the cusp. Henry Jonas is just outside. But then, talked to a few people, and it turns out that they might have started these 800s on the 400 stagger, which is a fucking nightmare.
Mate, it is shocking how that can happen at such a high profile meet. Honestly, you don't, and this is where, look, I think people the officials in this country get a bit of stick sometimes for being very like hot on things like warming up in certain areas and wearing headphones or whatever it is around a track. But I think that's one thing we guarantee here is that they're being hot on it because they're doing everything by the book, and you can probably, you're never going to get that, particularly at like a high profile meet. We would never see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, we've probably got some of the strictest officials in the world, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think, if you do watch the stream, there's a few people floating around in t-shirts with crew on their back. So whether they were, full officials, whether they had like as many as officials as they should have done or what, but it's an error. And look, it hasn't been.
We were chatting as well, though.
It's been like 90% confirmed if you watch on the stream and stuff. And I've seen quite a lot on socials now already, just this morning. And I think it's clear that they started on the 400 stagger. And as an athlete, though, are you not saying, look, this is wrong. I know where I start. Like, come on. But I think it's hard to say that as an athlete. 5 minutes before you race, you are so dialed in. You are focusing on the race. You're kind of just doing what you're told. You're being put on a start line. You might question something, but are you going to be bothered to really make a fuss and get it changed? Yeah. So I think there is that. Plus, they don't know the layout of the track. Maybe the track's got really big tight, big bends or tight bends. So that stagger would look bigger than normal. So I guess, who are they to sort of question at the time? It's not on them to question those sorts of things, to be honest. It is the officials and it is the meet, but that's rough if it is true. And will the results at the moment?
Just on the results now. I've just refreshed them, and they're all coming up with DQs.
Oh, shit. So
the times are on there. I don't actually understand, but I can't.
So lane one should be sweet, but lane one must have.
Two people.
Hell.
2 people.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's just not PBs.
Wow. Lane one must have been like, God, these guys are flying.
Anyway, because they've just been chasing these guys.
Yeah. It's probably worked out better for them. Who are the people? No one. I know the Brits were on.
No.
On the outer lanes.
Yes, a Slovenian, and then what I presume is
I think the women's 800A was the only one, but mate, that's tough. That's so tough. If you're Alex Botterill, and
women's
Crawford,
is all good. Women's,
If you're Botterill and Crawford and you cross that line, you're like, bang. 144.5. Thank you very much. And then, you probably celebrated last night as well. And you wake up this morning to a fresh D.
Surely you.
I'm sure there were. It sounds like there are a few whispers at the event that, it was wrong. But it's just what's frustrating is you go all that way. Your taper, and they probably are. I mean, Crawken has around 144. I mean, they've 144.8 or something, or 9 this year anyway. So when I saw the results, I wasn't like, oh, this is ridiculous. I was like, fair play, because you can see it. Was he chopped like 0.5 off of his PB? But given.
Well, mate, I think what gets me, obviously you mentioned, I get the idea if you're locked in, you might not notice, you might not really understand the layout of the track. But just looking at the timetable on here, right? 25 to 6, the first 800 goes. That is 1 in 2 flat, right? And there's guys in there who ran 156. They're all DQ'd. So that race was clearly an issue, right? We've then had.
Wait, that might have been DQ'd this morning, though.
No, of course. But what I'm saying is you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
What, run like a PB?
Well, no, six races, before this women's A, because the women's A was at the end. So they've run all these races, then realised and then run the women's A from the right position.
Oh, so if you're a lad who raced and then you watch the women's A, you're like,
well, the women's A was the last one, which is why they've corrected themselves. How have you not realised before? So, like any spectators or coaches who've got someone in the next race, surely you're like saying, whoa, I've just seen that race go off. We need to make sure that they're not all going off there. I know that's not your job as a coach but you just think they've noticed somehow the words got down there because that women's race, they've corrected it right at 6:20. But all the races before that.
Man, I'm surprised they've only just changed the results now then, because, this morning and last night, those results were official. So they've only literally, like you said, they've only just put those DQs in. But what a nightmare. What a shame. So, yeah. Ted and Jack Egan's both around 1:45. Obviously, what is that now? And I guess your time is less. If you're in lane 2, it's a bit less of a stagger, but Christ almighty, if you started in lane 6, 7, or 8, you had a big old hefty head start. So, yeah, it would have just run like half a bend.
Yeah.
Or they cut him for the inside. So, yeah, tough.
The money they've invested in going there.
Yeah, because a lot of them, that would be paid. Yeah, they would have paid that off their own back. Yeah, it's tough. Very frustrating. But anyway, so the actual, I guess, moving on to some 5,000s. Will Barnico, 13:28. Not bad. It was tough weather for a 5,000. I heard it was 27, 28 degrees. That actually 13:28, you're like, that's a pretty solid run. Yeah, you're probably breaking 13:20 in much, much better conditions. So good to see Barney posting up a good performance there. Batsu 8:21, working his way down to that world standard, consideration standard, world standard. So yeah, good run from him. Very Ockenden, 15:10. Eloise Walker, 15:23. That's a lifetime best for her as well. So, some strong races. Though they were sort of the pick of the names out in Vienna, to be honest. A lot of other people were, a lot of other Brits, Brett Rushman, Cal Johnson, but they're in the sort of 13, 40s. So good, strong running from them as well. But, that's the Vienna 5,000. So that was the drama for the weekend. Talk about drama. I mean, George Mills, 12:45 a few days ago. Dane. I think you just have to take your hat off to him and just say, mate, that is just incredible running. Credit to all the training and everything that he does. And I think the game has changed. I mean, I think was it Tim Hutchins said on commentary? Everyone in that race was sub 13 minutes before the gun went off. Like, that's got to be a first. It's got to be a first ever.
Yeah. And this is why it's so hard to look at records and things like that. And just the nature of the races as well. Like, how many opportunities do these guys get to run quick? So many. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the performance, but there's so regularly a chance to run a quick 5. Whereas, we talk about, obviously, he's run the British record, taken Farah's record. Like, how many times has Farah really stepped on the track and tried to rip a 5K?
Mate, he never did. Early on in his career, won the Monaco Diamond League 2011. I remember that. Out kicking Bernard de Gap. That was quite a race. Amani Merga, peak track and field, mate. But you're right. I mean, Farah never used to, right? He would go to the championships, and I think that's and that's why you should. I think this is an example of why going to a championships, getting a medal, prioritizing the dubs is important, because when it comes down to it, people are always going to be breaking your records. And if Farah was in that race, at his very best, he would have finished 12th if you just purely go on times. Obviously not the case. But one thing I would say, I think there is an argument now, even with the shoes, with the bicarb, with the lights, all of this, that is imagine you take all of that away from Mills. He's still running a very, very good 5K.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's still running 12. Is he challenging Farah's British record anyway?
It's impossible to say, isn't it? We really don't know what the accumulative effect of all these things is. Look, let's just take the performance for what it is. It's an incredible run, and look, what we want to see is him going out there, making a final, and then seeing what he can do.
Well, to be honest, I think now that's a huge run, and there's nothing else. What else is there for George Mills to do this summer now, other than go to the championships and show that he can run that level of performance in a major championships? There's nothing else for him to do. There's nothing else to prioritize on. And I think, and I would love to see him just focus on the 5 as well. I think the 15, just a distraction. Focus on the 5, man. Your wheelhouse and everything, you can perform in the 5. But It was clear in that race, though. Like, I think it is worth picking up that in that Diamond League, maybe a lot of the race, a lot of those men in that front group were focused. They were gearing for a kick. They were focusing on the win. And I think Mills, the win was secondary in Oslo. He was more focused on, and it was, he was running 61 points, like 61 highs, like all race long, 61 points. And then the minute they ran a 64, Mills went from the back to the front of the race.
Yeah. Within
the space of a lap. And then he did continue to push on 59 and then closed really well as well. Like his penultimate lap was a 58, 59, wasn't it? So it was very, very impressive. But I think as the race slowed, the reason it slowed is because the likes of Kjelcha, they're starting to tire. They're starting to think, I need something left on the kick here. Germa, Mahari, like all these guys. Nico Young, like he wasn't phased. Nico Young wanted to win. I mean, it's like, could we see 2 Americans on the podium in Tokyo? I mean, the way Nico Young's running is like that. It's podium potential, without a doubt. I've took an early pick of Grant Fisher's going to win the World Champs 5. Jakob at the moment's injured. He's making what do I eat in a day videos. While these boys are out there running 12:45.
Jakob will be bothered about the results of that race at all.
He won't be bothered. No, he won't be bothered. But I do think the longer it goes on that Jakob is injured, the harder it is for him going to be able to compete.
Especially over the 5. I think
exactly the 5.
With Jakob, yeah.
I think the 15 actually even more so, because that's less time he can work on his speed, which is his weakness, his finishing kick. And also, there's a little less strength there. So when he goes to front run this race in the World Championships, he won't be able to run it as fast as he would like, which means he's going to have the whole field on his shoulder. It's going to be a difficult year for Jakob, but we're a long way off. He's lucky the championships where he's not lucky. He's planned it.
How
he might not even be injured. He's just in the pool.
Just chilling, mate.
He's just making videos in the pool to psych out the opposition. But anyway, I think Nico Young's clearly in great form as well. I mean, that was a fantastic 5. Yeah, I mean, Coubertin 13th, 12:57. I feel bad for the guy. Like that is a great run, but Coubertin is so bad. Well, he is so unlucky. Like, Graham Blank's now 12:48. Nico Young's there. Grant Fisher's there. It's like Coubertin. I don't think he's ever going to make a team. He might make one team if he's lucky. But racing against Americans in just that American Championship is very different for him. Like, he's strong in those positions.
Yeah, I think that's it, mate. Like, it really...
Yeah, he's strong in those positions.
In a way.
Like, if it was a pure race, I'd have him to beat Blanks. Easy. In a head-to-head. Because it would come down to a kick. Come down to like a last 600, last 700, last 800. I think you do him. Mate, what else?
One thing...
Go on.
One thing we didn't chat about, even from Birmingham, obviously, was Jess Bailey in that 3K. Obviously, earlier in the day, so not part of the UK champs, but just kind of in the open meet. And then I think she jumped on the comms then for the 10K later on. But 8:55 for her. We were expecting a bit of a battle with Ines Fitzgerald, but Ines called up late call up to the Diamond League, so didn't see that head to head. But I guess fairly solo after a few athletes dropped off. 8:55, nice little run from her at that meet as well in less than ideal conditions, because that was, well, when we first got there, mate, 3:30, and it was hot.
Oh, it's peak wind, wasn't it? Peak wind at that point. It's hot and windy. Just it was impressive. I think she had a niggle last week. She wasn't sure if she was going to race, so was really happy to actually be out there running. So that was as much as she could have expected. She was very pleased with her performance. So was Dean. It's going to be interesting what she does the rest of the year. I'm not sure the 5, despite how fast she's run, is actually going to be a priority. I think they're playing the long game, and they want to continue to work on those 1500s throughout the rest of the year as well. Will we see Jess run the 5K at British Champs versus Ines? Maybe not, but that rivalry is growing, but still yet to race for a little while. But great run from her, and again, that was a race with a couple dropouts. Obviously, Ines, Lucy Jones fell ill during the weeks. What could have been quite a stellar race again ended up being Jess Bailey pulling away from Georgie Grekic. So bit of a sort of procession, if you like. And right, women's, we got to get back to that women's steeple in Oslo though, because Elise Dorner is flying 9:15, another big PB for her, chopping that down by a couple seconds, and competing as well. I think 7th in a world class field. She's having a fantastic season. Italy Storner. So well done there. Then the men's mile, Elliot Giles, 3:49. I mean, 12 people broke 3:50. This was as crazy as the 5K, really. Yeah. Nada. Storming through, mate. But Cam Myers just leaving it too late. Cam Myers wins that race. He just got boxed.
That's part of the race, right?
Yeah, but I do love watching him run. Like I do, he is going to feature over the next few years. Big fan of Myers. But yeah, so's Nada, to be fair. But yeah, Giles, that was takes it on as well, and just I think, a little like Mills. Like, did he really need to take it on? Can he not just sort of focus on punching a little higher?
That's the thing for me, mate. Like all these times, right at the moment,
and you can see people are just not. They just want to get after it.
It's all well and good, but like you need to, for me, like they need to be just working on like, can I get top 4, top 3 at like all these meets that I race in? Because that's the only way they're going to make a final.
Yeah, you've got to be trying. Yeah.
Like you got to consistently be like finding yourself near the front of the race. Like you don't have to be winning them all, but whereas if you start like just getting on a train and running a decent time, but come in like 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever it is, you're going to struggle when it comes to the championships.
Well, I mean, that's not, like you say, you've got to be top 5, top 4 in the 1500 to qualify for the final even. So you've got to be looking to finish in that spot like as much as possible on the circuit, because there's a lot of people missing when you race a Diamond League.
That's the worry, I think, for a lot of these athletes.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's preview. So that was a Diamond League in Oslo. It was brilliant. And I guess, it's just credit. I think the game, obviously just the training and everything like that is just up to level. And, speaking to we were speaking to Chris Jones as well last night, weren't we? When you think about the marathons, and it's like, unfortunately, where the marathon, it's not unfortunately, but where the marathon is now, and it's the same with the 5 and the 10, where these events are now, it's like, unless you can absorb the amount of training required to reach the highest level, you just never, I don't think you can get by unless you can do an insane amount of training. I don't think you can compete at that level. Whereas I think there used to be, especially kind of pre-shoes and pre-wave lights, there used to be, if you were talented and you maybe had some great raw speed, etc., you could probably do, you could find yourself doing, let's say a world-class 5K runner was doing 110 mile a week or something, you could maybe get by on 80 mile a week or 90 mile a week and just sort of, use your strength, use your speed. But I think that's changing unless you're able to really push those big numbers in training.
And I think, do you know what half the problem is with that? Is that it's the confidence thing. Everyone knows what everyone's doing. It's all out there. It's on Strava. It's on YouTube. It's wherever, right? And as an elite male marathon runner, you're probably looking and you're like, well, everyone's doing 120 mile a week plus. So if I'm not doing that, why am I going to even try and line up against these guys? Like, because in a marathon, it's so unknown, right? In a 5K, you can get there a few different ways, not as many as you can for an 8 and a 15, where there are probably even more ways. But for a marathon, it's so unknown. You can't really do anything in training that truly shows you exactly what you're going to run. And we've seen that. It's just why all these people debut and have these grand plans and then they bonk. So like a confidence thing, like do people really want to line up and put themselves on the line when they know that they're nowhere near running 2.5, 2.6, and they're going to be more like 2.15 despite being an elite runner in other events. So it's tough. It is tough.
It is. But there is a huge shift. Everyone wants to jump towards the marathon. I don't know if we should say this, but Andy Hobdell was telling us Ellis Cross is going to sort of move and transition to the marathon in the next year or so. And he's having a great career over the 5 and the 10. But I think, like you say, if you see yourself as a marathon runner, given the training that you need to absorb, and that transition is probably these days, because the event is so far along, you actually probably do need a longer transition. Then back in the day, you'd finish your track career and be like, right, I'll be a marathon runner next year. And yeah, you could go and run 2.8. If you're a quality 10K runner, you could go do that. Whereas, 2.8, you're a minute and a half off a qualification standard.
Look, the qualification used to be like 2:14 as a Brit. So you could start there.
Huh? When was that?
So
yeah, that was maybe years ago.
No, it was.
I want to say, actually, for 2012, I reckon it was like
2015 World Champs. The standard was 2:15 for the men.
Jesus Christ! Yeah.
I'm pretty
Anyway,
sure.
so you're right. You know, you could literally run. You could be running 28 minutes for 10k and be like, that's a nice transition. With now, yeah, it's just, you know, you've not only have you got to go and run fast, you've got to just be able to absorb so much training, and you can't absorb it if you don't give yourself a long enough period to transition. So, yeah. Right, mate. Let's
shout out Stockholm tonight, obviously.
Stockholm tonight, man. Stockholm tonight.
And look, we were just talking about George Mills. George Mills goes in the 1,500 meters later today, so we'll see how he gets on after that 5k. Obviously, I'm sure he's buzzing, but knowing Mills, having spoken to Mills on a pod a few times, I'm sure he's gunning for a serious time, and anything less, he's not going to be happy with.
But this is what is, you know, you look at. This is what I love to. Oh, we haven't even spoken about Grand Slam, actually, because Grand Slam, obviously, they're not going to be in LA. Maybe they're having financial troubles. Are they paying athletes prize money? Don't know. There's a few rumors floating around. That LA stadium is obviously causes a lot of problems. Full stop. They had a gold label tour cancelled there, which was supposed to be this year. They've scrapped that, and then obviously, yeah, Grand Slam they've scrapped. And so I think it is tough logistically to have a meet there for whatever reason, but. This is where, like Grand Slam the other week, when we saw that 3,000, like Nico Young was amazing, Graham Blanks. But then when we saw Mills in the Grand Slam as well in Miami, it was like, this is what I loved about Grand Slam. There was just an unpredictable nature. And no matter how fit you were, if you couldn't race, you did get it exposed. I'm all for that. Whereas, you know, if Mills was 12:45, what happened to him at Grand Slam? Because that was a month, you know, sort of 3-4 weeks prior. So he must have been in some fantastic shape. At that point, you know, ripping probably some of his best workouts. He's 3 weeks out from his best ever 5k, British record, almost breaking the European record. You know, all of those things. So that's why I'm a big advocate for Grand Slam. But obviously, yeah, that's been, or just that style, not necessarily Grand Slam, but that format of racing, take out the lights, all of that stuff. But yeah, it's been axed. Will we see it in 2026? Time will tell. But anyway, we'll get back to.
Mate, just before we do, I've fact checked myself. 17, right? The men's marathon standard for the worlds was 2:16.
Fuck yeah.
That is bonkers.
It's just 10 minutes. 10 minutes in 8 years.
So it got slower. So 2015 was 2:14, and then they got slower just because didn't have.
No one hit it.
Yeah. 16. That's going to be our women's standard in like a couple of years' time.
Fucking hell, too right. And now it's 36:30. Wow, brutal. Right, mate. Let's. Where were we? Previewing Stockholm. Yeah. So you saying Mills is in the 1,500?
Mills in the 15. We got a load of girls in the 3K, which looks to be good. Innes obviously going in that. Hannah Nuttall's going in that. Katie Snowden stepping up to the 3,000. So that should be a pretty cool race to see how they all fare against each other, but obviously against kind of the rest of the world as well. You got Lyndon Hall in there, Marta Garcia, Tanaka's in there. So should be
the 1,500 as well is before the Diamond League goes on air on the BBC, by the way. That's like a pre-meet event. Is that 4:00 local time or is that our time? Not sure. But yeah, that's before the actual Diamond League gets underway on TV. Yeah, and then you're right, one of the first events will be the women's 3,000. Then we got that men's 800. They ran 1:42 the other day. Wanyonyi, Kinyamau, 2 Algerians, 2 hours in there. He's backing up some phenomenal years. Bryce Hoppel and Hangura. And Josh Hui. So another great 800. I mean, they could quite easily, if the weather's good, quite easily be 141 again. I did think with that 800, the fact they're running 142 now, I am very nervous that Rudisha's world record's going to go. Well, not only did they showcase they can do it last year, but 142 now? And you're like,
mate, is it going to be like the 15 though?
They're going to be peaking in
times where we were like, they're gonna smash that record this year. There's so many of them.
Because I think with the 8, you can see as well there's certain points in the race where they're just not quite sharp enough. They're a little hesitant, and I think 2 hours showed that. Down the back straight when Yonyu made that move, no one really went with him, and some of them are just they're lacking races. With the 800, once they get eight races in them, they're gonna fly. And if that comes when the weather's good in a Monaco, whatever. In the London Diamond League, yeah.
I just want to see a 139, mate, that way. That's the thing.
And A-Rock weren't even in that race. I mean, now A-Rock doesn't have to do Grand Slams. He can actually focus on chasing the time, and he will, yeah. I think he's the man most likely to do it, to be honest, Marco A-Rock. But I think it could be a case in this 800 that if one person does it, that record might go back and forth.
which would be
Maybe,
cool.
Yeah, which would be very cool. Maybe not throughout the year.
Mate, the thing is, if they do that, they will then start getting close to sub 140.
Yeah, they will.
They are having to go back and forth.
Will. Yeah, they will.
Which is unreal.
Which is like 2 laps under 50 seconds. Anyway, so men's 800, all the big hits.
Men's 5K, obviously later on, that is a stacked field as well. Obviously, might not be as quick as.
Well, this is the thing.
This will be a good race, you know.
Yeah, you had 12 in Oslo, and I don't think any of them 12. Kuma Gurma is the only one, I think, who lines up again in Stockholm. But this field for me is much weaker. It's a good field, mate, but it's much weaker.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at Almgren and thinking he'd probably win the whole thing.
Hauger, mate. Hauger is going to show.
He did say he wants to run a fast 5. He's been talking about doubling it at the World.
Gonna take Cooper's spot. You're not going to let Cooper go.
Mate, he will. Screws over his teammate all the time.
And it's funny is that season in Oregon, Cooper was the guy and Cole was just his.
Cooper was the Donny, and everyone's always just going.
Cole was his pacer, and then
when they were kids, Cooper peaked in college. Dear. Anyway, so 5K final. Okay, final. Yeah, men's 5K, women's 8. We got Gemma Reekie and Georgia Hunter-Bell in that one. Mary Morris, Cadizo, and I think they could be as far. Yeah, either one of them could win. To be honest, it's a strong women's 800, but no runaway at this stage. Vero's running very well, obviously the Swiss athlete, 157.2. But mate, talking to the women's 800, watch the flow track video with Daguma. She did drills for 100 minutes.
All 100 minutes on there.
Well, no, it's only a 6-minute video. Yeah, but her session was like warm up, couple twos, 100 minutes of footwork drills.
Yeah.
That's what it takes. Who's doing that? She's I mean, she could be, don't want to say the favourite for the world title. Definitely not the favourite. That would be Keely, but the next biggest challenger.
Mate, what's good is Keely's making it interesting for us, right? Because after last year, you're like, well, she's going to absolutely destroy anything that comes at her. And now she's making it exciting. And that's what Jakob's doing as well, right? They're making it exciting for the rest of the world, for the fans, that they're deciding to get these little injuries and making it exciting for everyone. So it's good to see, to be honest. Like we want to see them at their best or back towards their best, but it keeps us on our toes and we're not thinking, it's going to be an easy one to predict, which is brilliant, I think, for the fans. But obviously we want to make sure they are there and that they're in good shape, because otherwise it will be a real shame.
Yep. Well, that's it, mate. I mean, the other event that's happening this week, Paris Diamond League. Obviously, Kipyego, and haven't seen any of the start lists like fully confirmed for Paris. So, that's a shame. But perhaps the even bigger event on the 20th of June is the UK Icodon going into its second year. 15 universities. It's going to be absolutely mega. I look at that model and I'm like, our sport is at its best when it's in a team setting. And generally, I think this event could be huge in 3. It's going to be big this year, but, it has the ability to grow every single year. There's a documentary series on YouTube, Distance Project pushing out. Tune into that as well. Follow along with your university. And if you want to come down and watch, do get yourself down on the Thames next week. It's going to be a big old party down there. It's basically deciding. Some of it's on trail, some of it's on tarmac, some of it's on gravel. It's a mix of terrains along the Thames path. Very scenic. It's a pure form of running, mate. It's like being on a long run with a pal.
You're lashing it. It's just
you're lashing it, and you want to drop your mate. And there's a little gate you can hop over a bit quicker, and you get 10 yards on your mate. Good. I think when you look at the blueprint model that they've got in Japan, and the excitement.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it?
And the coverage
the culture around it
of Icodons out there, but it makes sense. Like our sport has always been at its best when it's about a team. You look at Bucks Cross, and our sport lags when it is just purely about individuals. Because that connection, you lose that connection unless you really know someone. You watch a race and who are you backing? Whereas this, get behind your uni. Everyone's got some affiliation, whether it be geographics, alumni, friends who go there, whatever. Yeah, so looking forward to that. I'll be obviously there. Very, very busy week ahead for me. But yeah, the Rome Diamond League, Paris Diamond League on the horizon. And I think that documentary comes out. Is it this week or next week?
Yeah, the Kipyego pre-doc. I think it's 2 days before, they said. So they're going to release one 2 days before, one 2 days after. That's a quick turnaround for the edit. But
how much a night going to charge for these Kipyego spikes then?
Depends how quick she runs, right?
£500. You can only wear them once.
Yeah, and they just deteriorate after 1,500 meters. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, that's what Bauman used to do, mate. He used to make spikes for pre just to last the once.
Yeah, do you remember the Nike Mayflies? I can't remember what it was. 100K, I think, was the recommended.
Mate, they were goated. I can't say I ever had a pair, but
no, I didn't. I remember we nearly ordered like some old pairs off eBay that had probably done about 300K.
Yeah, you can actually buy. Look, there's a pair for 100 quid here, size 9.5, but they've done 100K, so they're past there.
I think they're the remake as well that aren't proper running shoes because they re-released them.
These shoes, I'm just looking now, they're absolutely goated. Even the pattern. They've done a few drops since, haven't they? That pattern. Part of the Bauman series.
Aren't the proper ones, but yeah, if anyone's got any.
I think one day they should just put everyone in OG Vics and just say, right, let's go. What can we do?
Well, they'd run quicker because they're better spikes. Over 1,500 meters, they would anyway. Honestly, stick Jakob in a pair of Eldorettes and we'll see who it runs.
Mate, those Mayflies, what a piece of kit. Go check them out if you're listening. Sorry, we're rambling. We better wrap this up.
Yeah, for the younger listeners, check them out. That's what it was all about before this carbon nonsense. But look, thanks for listening to us. We appreciate it as always. Enjoy this week of athletics. I'm sure it'll be good, and we'll come back for another episode next week.